Hello everyone and welcome to another video from Begin to Code. In today's video we're going to start on our picture matching game, which is something I've mentioned in previous videos. What we're going to do is build quite a few little games and then put them all together into one big app eventually. So we've already done tic-tac-toe, now we're going to have a look at picture matching. If you've already been following some of the videos on the channel, you think, well, we've already done that, Mark. We have and we haven't. We are going to have some of the logic that we've already done. I think it's good practice to work through some things and think logically about how we solve problems with the loops or the cases or the switch statements. But we're also going to do some new things. On Begin to Code, I always like to try and introduce a couple of new topics for us to look at. So in this video, we are going to look at how we go from one form to another and how we pass data from one form to another. So that's quite a big step. What we want to do with picture matching, as I mentioned, was have two levels to the game. An easy level, which I think will be either matching 5 or 6 pictures together, so 10 or 12 boxes, and then a harder level which will be double that, so either 20 or 24 boxes of pairs to match together. So we want our menu, which I've created here, to pass the data, whether we're playing an easy game or a hard game, to the new form, and then that will draw that form out, and we're going to work on some of that logic in today's video. So let's begin to code. Okay, so as you saw from the introduction, I've created the picture matching menu. So it's a brand new C# Windows form application in Visual Studio. I've called the initial form menu and I put a label on calling it picture match and two buttons called easy and hard. And I've named the button hard and button easy. So we want a new form, right? That's really big goal from this video, is to how we pass and how we open a new form. So let's get on with that. We're going to add, and we can come down here, similar to class, we're going to add a form. It's in form, so this can be, we can call this game. So this is where we're actually going to play the form. So now we have a brand new form with its own properties, etc. inside it. I'm just going to put a label on here now. And in this label, let's just actually make the text bigger. We'll put it put it on Dubai, whatever Dubai is, and we'll make it a bit bigger. So we can see here we're in the label, and I'm going to put another button on here as well, which I'm going to call return. So what will happen is, from the menu we will open up the game form, and from the game form we can hit return and it will go back to the menu. That's the nature of what we're trying to do today. Okay, so we're going to double click on the easy button, and that's going to give us a function which is the click event for easy. I want both buttons to drive the same event. So if I go to easy and I click the events, I'll see the click event and what it's called. I can copy that into hard, and then it's the action click, and I can put it there as well. So both buttons are going to call, didn't want to do menu load. Both buttons will call the same click event. In the click event, now what I want to do is start to think about how we open our form game. So the first thing we're going to do is say game, and then we have to give it that instance a name. So we'll call it GM equals, and then it is new game. And the easiest way to do this is now say gm.show. Let's click this and see what happens. No, that's going to be that menu reference, so which I accidentally clicked. So we'll just delete that out of the designer and click start. Now we should be able to get into our picture match, and if we click easy, we open up game. Fantastic. We keep this one in the background and we can switch between them, and if we click hard, we open up another game, and then another game, then another one. Well, that's a bit awkward, isn't it? If I close from the menu, everything shuts. That's interesting. If I close from here, it doesn't shut. Now, what that's telling us is this is the main menu. Closing this closes the application that we've started. Closing these is just closing this form. So we have to be a bit wary of that. So what do we want to do from here? Well, I don't really want to see this menu anymore. So what we can do after we've done game show is we can say this.hide. Now, if we click it, our menu has vanished, which is correct, and we're into our game. Now, what I mentioned previously, when I exit this, if you see at the top, we're still running our application because the menu hasn't been closed, it's just been hidden. So there's various things we can do to work around it, but I want to show you what I think is probably the correct way. It's certainly good to hide the main menu, but what we don't want to do, what you could do is say, well, let's just put this same code into the event on game. Well, let's do that actually. So we called that button 1. Well, that's fine for now. Let's take, so this is game, GM, new DM. Right, let's copy it and let's put it into here. And instead of game, that wants to be menu. We can call this mu equals new menu. And then mu and this dot show. Now let's start this one and see what happens. So we go to this, we go from menu to game, we return, and we come back to menu. Well, that's what it looks like it's doing, but it's not. And when we close it from the game, we don't close the application. What it's doing is it's every time we click a button, it's opening up a new instance of menu and continuing to hide it. So every time we click, if we click through it 5 times back and forth, we're going to have actually 5 screens open hidden in the background, which is not what we want to do. So there's a few things. Well, I think the correct way of doing this, we know we need to keep menu open, because if we close menu, we close the application. In game, we can actually say this.close. That's fixed part of the problem. So when we go to easy, when we return, that's opened up a new menu. So I have 2 menus open now, but I have no game open because that instance of game was closed there. But we're still having this repeat of menu, which we want to move away from. So, and I have to exit up there. So how do I solve that? The way to solve that is we can use, instead of a for loop, we're going to use a for each loop. So for each form, and we need to think of a name for our forms. So let's call this, well, we'll call this forms. I'm not sure if that's the best name. In application dot open forms. So now when we click our button, it's saying for each form in our application which is open, and we've had to call this a name which is forms, what do we want to do? So we want to say if our forms is menu, O-N-E, menu, then we basically want to unhide our menu. So it's forms.show. And we'll go back to that. And we also need a break in here. And outside of our for each loop, we can close creating a new instance of menu and showing that. And we can just come to this close. Let's see what happens now. We're in our game. We can go to easy. It comes into our game menu and we can return back not to a new instance of menu, but to the old instance. We've just shown the existing open instance. So we're not having many different forms of the menu open. And you see when I move it on the screen and return to it, it comes back to where we are. We're not having lots of different menus open on the application, which is what we want. Look, this is a small application, so you might think, well, it doesn't use up too much memory, which is correct. But always, if we're building a big application with lots of users, we don't want lots and lots of hidden forms in the background. So this is a very nice way of hiding forms and then reopening forms rather than opening new instances of forms, which I think a lot of instructional videos teach you to do. So this is quite a nice way to do it. What we want to do now, when we click on easy or hard button, is pass some data to game that game, when it loads, can act on, and it can say, right, they're playing an easy version of this game. So this is how I've got to lay this form out. We're going to have it dynamically drawing the picture boxes onto our game form. So we're going to think now how we're going to pass some data from the menu buttons to the game buttons. So let's look at passing information from one form to another. You may notice as well that I did just go and rename that button click event to return menu. I think it's a bit tidier. So let's have a think about what we're doing. When we click our easy event, which is the same for both buttons, we open a new instance of game, and it's a new game and then the operators, which is this. So let's think back to the other functions methods we created where we pass information into a function. We put something in here, don't we? So let's do the same thing. Let's pass a string called game level. I was just thinking whether to pass a string or an integer. We'll pass a string for now because this is about demonstrating how it works, and I'm going to use the label on game design to say which value we're passing. Is it easy or hard? So now in menu, we're going to see that game is looking for something to be passed to it, right? So we need to create a variable to pass to it, a string variable, so string game level to pass into here, so we can pass it game level. Now our issue is we have no value yet assigned to game level, but we can do that, right? So we can say if. Now we need to pick up which button we've clicked, whether it's easy or hard, and I put a tag on easy is 1 and hard is 2. I quite like using the tags. So let's think back to tic-tac-toe when we clicked different buttons in the same event, how we identified them. We can do the same thing here. We need that button sender. So button btn equals, I think it's button sender, probably a capital B. So now we have our button. Now we can think, does it equal 1 or 2? So we'll have to do a convert to integer, because I don't know what the tag is, probably just an object. So we'll convert to integer button dot tag, and if that equals 1, then our game level can be easy. Else our game level will equal hard. button hard. And now we should have a value being assigned to game level based on the button we click, whether it's easy or hard, and that is going to pass into our game form. Now, if we just want to check that that is game level's got a value in, we can just chuck a message box in here, message box.show, and we can show game level. Have to pass it to a actually, I don't see why we'd have to pass it to a string. It's already a string. But it does want us to pass it to string, I think. Box.show, that's what. Not reading. Box.show. Right, now it shouldn't need a toString because it's already a string. So when we click our buttons, easy is easy, and it opens our game, and hard is hard, and it opens our game. Not updating the label yet, but we are passing easy or hard in game level to game. And what we can do up here is we can say our label1.text is going to equal game level. Now when we run it, I can't remember if I left the message box on or not. I did. Easy, easy, turn, hard, hard, hard. So we are passing the information from one form to another. Very good. Close out. But let's get rid of our message box. I think we've proved that we're able to pass from one form to another. What I'm concerned about on this form is it's in this function. I can't, on form load, which is really where I want to do it, say label1.text is equal to game level. Game level, not there. I need to get it out of here. And the way we're going to do that is via a constructor. So let's just comment that out for a second. And let's think about a constructor. Okay, so a constructor is a special method that's used to initialize objects. So what we're going to do is create a constructor down here. So this is public string, and we're going to call it value. And then we want to put in a get and a set clause. Up here, in the method function up here, where we're pulling game level into our class and assign it to the label, we're going to take that out. That's cheating. This dot value, now we can find, as a constructor, we can find it even though it's in this function. This dot value is going to equal game level. Now game level is being assigned to our constructor, and in our game load, our text can be equal to the constructor value. So definitely we're not doing it, we're not updating the text, the label text here the old way. We're going via the constructor into game load. Let's run this and see what happens. Easy, easy, return, hard, hard, return. That's awesome. What that now means is, well, you can see what it means. We have a two-form application for the first time on Begin to Code that passes it passes a reference from one form to the other that we can now get in the second form and act on. And what we're going to be doing when we click on easy is we're going to be drawing out the form for the easy game, which is 10 or 12 boxes, which we're going to be clicking on to uncover our picture. And on hard, it's going to be 20 or 24 boxes. So we can use this value passed here via the constructor into game load, and we can really start to act on that in the next video. So what we've achieved in video 1 is having the two forms open and the hiding and then the re-showing. So we're not opening multiple instances of the form and just clogging up the game with loads of hidden forms. We're doing it the right way, and we're passing information from one form to another, which is really powerful. So now when you start to think about the apps we've done, and if you wanted to put them together, you can see how we're going to start building our applications, putting different pages and different things together and moving from one to the other and passing data easily from one to the other. Really quite simple and straightforward, but very powerful, and we can really start to see how we can do it. So I think we'll call video 1 there, because we've been through some really good new functionality to begin to code if you're learning along with me. So in video 2, we're going to get much more into the game board design between easy and hard. We need to dynamically, based on the button click from menu, figure out how many tiles I think we're going to use. It's going to draw onto our form, and then how we click them, how it shows the pictures, does it match or not, reverse them out or X them out when they match. So that's going to be quite a good, interesting video, the next one coming up. I hope you found today's video useful. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, please. Let me know how I'm getting on. Follow Begin to Code. If you've got your own ideas, then run with them, right? I'm trying to show the techniques from the various apps we've been building on Begin to Code up to date are really interchangeable and reusable from one application to another. So you can hopefully start to see how you can take what you're learning and apply them to things that you want to build. But look out for video 2. It's coming soon. Hope you enjoyed video 1. Check out the rest of the channel if it's your first time here. Thanks for watching. See you again soon. Bye for now.